and thank you for joining me today. We've been having lots of thunderstorms, so I hope this is going to work today. And I'd like to get started with a little story that reminds me of all of you. It's a story about a teacher, and what happened one day, she went into her classroom and it had flooded over the night, and she didn't have anything to teach with but newspapers. So she got down the newspapers and she gave them out to the children, and they looked at the pictures and talked about what the pictures might mean, and they looked for letters in their name and for words that they could read. And after a while they got a little tired of that, and the teacher looked outside and it was raining, and she thought, you know what, if my children had rain hats, we could go out in the rain and have a science lesson. So she showed the children how to take the newspapers, and they folded them into rain hats, and they put them on, and they went outside in the rain, and they talked about the water cycle and what happens when all the water goes away. And while they were out there, they heard this noise. And the teacher thought, what could it be? It's a fire. So she had the children take their rain hats and they turned them into fire helmets, so they could go down and help the firefighters, and they even used them like scoops and threw water on the fire. Now, all that water reminded the teacher of pirates, and so they turned their fire helmets into pirate hats and had a history lesson about pirates. And then the teacher thought, oh, wouldn't it be fun if they had boats, and we could be like real pirates and go sailing in the boat. So she showed them how to turn their pirate hats into boats. And they went floating down the road, and they ran into a rock, and the front of their boat came off. They floated down the road a little bit more, and they ran into a tree, and the back of their boat came off. They floated down the road a little bit more, and they went under a low bridge, and the top of their boat came off. Now, anybody else would have been a nervous wreck, but not those teachers, because they knew the children had life preservers, and they put their life preservers on and swam safely back to school. And I wanted to tell that story because I think that's what all of you all are doing now. You're helping children realize it's going to be okay. We're going to take care of you. We're going to float through this and get through this together. And I think one of the reasons that a lot of parents are having difficulty with discipline at home is that the children are not getting enough exercise. You know, they don't have friends to play with. They're not getting enough exercise. And so what I've done this week, each day on one of my blogs, I've talked about juggling and balancing and jumping, and every day I have a different movement activity that parents can do at home. Nothing requires equipment. Nothing is expensive. I also have some free videos that they can watch where I do these things. But I wanted to share some of these simple things with you today because I know some of y'all are running out of things to do with your children when you do your online classes. And so one thing that I've always found to get children's attention is to put whatever I'm going to talk about in a bag, and I sing this little song. What's in the surprise sack? Who can tell? Maybe it's a book or maybe it's a shell. What's in the surprise sack? Who can say? Let's find out and see today. And so what I have in here today is a paper ball. And so you could ask all the children to get an old sheet of paper and they could wad it up and you can make a ball. Can you throw it up and catch it? How many times can you throw it up and catch it? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, and so on. I have all sorts of fun activities kids can do with a ball, and this is so good for eye-hand coordination, helping them focus, crossing the midline. They can even, some of them probably can toss the ball from one hand to the next. They could play catch with their parents. They could get a trash can and play basketball and throw the paper balls in the trash can. So, excuse me, I've got lots of things you can do with just a paper ball to juggle. They also sell juggling scarves, but you know what? If you buy netting, this is great. You just cut it into little squares and the children can throw it up and catch it. They can do the same thing with a tissue, can't they? Just throw it up and catch it. Or sometimes you can play a game. I'm going to throw this up and I want you to dance around and be wild and crazy until the scarf hits the ground. And so they're crazy, crazy. And then when it hits the ground, they have to stop and freeze. Again, it's so good for self-regulation. And all of these things work together for that whole child. It's not just the academic child we're worried about, it's that whole child. So I've got ideas for juggling. Another day this week, I had ideas for balancing. And the experts say balancing is one of the best things you can do for the brain, to help children focus, to get rid of the fidgets, for the core. And so, you know, you can have them just start, can you balance on one foot? Can you balance on the other foot? Can you balance on one foot and raise the other leg? Can you balance on one foot and put your arms like a tree waving in the breeze? I mean, I've got all sorts of ideas, different ways that you can do balancing with children. And I think it's really important that parents do these things with their children. Look them in the eyes, turn off the screen, and just do these activities. It's good for the parents, it's good for the kids. And parents have to remember their children don't have playmates. You have to be the one to play with them and entertain them, and you're going to get more good out of it than you can ever imagine. Another thing I talked about this week, I talked about crossing the midline. And those of you who've seen me do this before, have the children put their hands together. This is what your brain looks like. And your brain has two parts, and we want those parts to work together. So cross your fingers. Yeah, that's what we want to do, hook up both sides of our brain. Now, if you draw a line down the middle of your body, that's your midline. And when you cross over that midline, it's like exercising your brain. And a fun thing to let the children do is to get a piece of painter's tape or masking tape and put it down the middle of their body, and all day long they can see, you know, every time they reach for something or if they tie their shoes, all the times during the day that they are crossing the midline. And I have lots of other activities that they can do where you just tap one hand to one knee and one hand to the other knee. You can do karate chops. And as you're doing these things, you can count by fives, you can count by ones, you can say your ABCs, you can say nursery rhymes. Tie in some of those academic things that you're working on as you cross the midline. And I wanted to do a fun little dance with you. This is called dancing with your hands, and you can tell the children, you can just dance with your hands. So show me your hands, and we're going to get them exercising here. Get them well ready to go. Tap your legs, clap your hands, cross your hands. Thump one way, thump the other way. All right, catch your thighs, clap your hands, slide the hands one over the other, thump your hands. And then you can do other dances. You can do the swim, you can do the hitchhike, you can do the salsa, you can do the Egyptian. Oh, all sorts of things, fun things you can do with your hands when you dance. So, you know, they're exercising the brain, they're getting rid of wiggles, and they're having fun all at the same time. Now, another thing, and this is coming up on my blog tomorrow, but this would be a perfect thing for kids to make with their parents. It's called a fitness learning trail. And so all you need are pieces of cardboard. And remember last weekend I showed you how to cut the tops and the backs off cereal boxes. You've got great cardboard, or you can use grocery sacks, and let the children decorate these. And you can think of, I think 10 is a good number to start with, 10 activities that they go through the fitness trail and they do the different activities. And so they might do jumping jacks, and then the next one might be, say, a nursery rhyme, and then the next one might be jump, hop in place. The next one might be say your first name, your birthday, your address, and your phone number. So just different little skills that you're working on. So every other one would be a movement and then some sort of reinforcement of a skill. And, you know, you can adapt these for any age level. I mean, second and third graders would enjoy doing a fitness trail just as much as the little guys. You just adapt the activities. If you don't have a yard that you can get out in, you know what? You can do the same thing on paper plates. Easy peasy, no problem at all. One of the weights that I wanted to share with you, another way to recycle water bottles, and they can actually just use the water bottles like weights for working out, but if you put popcorn kernels or beans in some of your old water bottles, you've got some really fun weights, and they make a lot of noise for the children too. Now, today on my blog, I've got all sorts of activities with patty cake. And, you know, some of these things never go out of style. And it warms my heart sometimes when I'm at an amusement park or something and I see teenagers doing these patty cake things, because once you learn these, you're never going to forget them. And so with the children, with their parents, do you see what a good interactive thing this is? Eye-hand coordination movement. The little guys, you got to start off just a simple patty cake like this. And it takes a long time for them just to make those connections. And then the next level would be clap and tap, clap and tap. And then when they get really good at that, you can clap and cross and clap and cross. Now, you can do patty cake, and I would encourage the parents to do some of those old patty cake rhymes they learned when they were little, like Miss Mary Mac, 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 or one that I did when I was a little girl. I am a pretty little Dutch girl. And so, you know, I've got a lot of these old jump rope rhymes and things on my blog this week as well. And when you patty cake, you can patty cake nursery rhymes. So Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. You can use patty cake to count. Let's count by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40. You can use patty cake to practice letters and sounds. A, B, B. You can use patty cake to spell words. Happy. H, A, P, P, Y. Happy. You can even use patty cake for the older kids for math facts that they want to learn. 2 plus 8 equals 10. And so, yeah, just kids have got to move. And the more they move, the happier they're going to be, and the happier the parents were going to be. So, you know, some of these things, I think, when you do your online lessons, you model these things for the parents, and hopefully that will spin off on them. Just a few more ideas. Another thing you can do for movement is, like I said, the jump rope rhymes, and you don't need a jump rope. That's a tough thing for little kids to do anyway, but you can just stand in place and jump. You can jump on 2 feet, you can jump on 1 foot, you can go back and forth. So I've got jump rope rhymes. Other things you can do, you can march. Marching is a great thing for the brain. You can march up high, you can march down low, you can march on your tippy toes, you can march and turn around, you can march backwards. I mean, I've got all these different strategies. You take something simple and then just extend it to make it a little bit more fun. Let's see, anything else I wanted to share with you today? Oh, yeah, push-ups against the wall. That's one of my favorite, that the kids put their hands up against the wall and then they practice doing push-ups. So good for that upper body strength. So thank you for joining me today. I know if you write comments for things you want me to help you with, I'll try to integrate it. Last week, somebody asked for help with conflict management. That's not my area of expertise, but Barbara Gruner is like the queen of that, and she's going to do something. I just had a few simple ideas. One of them was the peace talk. So you get a notebook, and when there's a conflict, you have the children sit next to each other, and you open the notebook, and you say, you draw a picture, write what happened on this side, and you draw a picture and write what happened on this side. And when you've worked out your problem, you can come give me the peace book, and it doesn't take them very long to figure out we've got peace. Another idea that I learned a long time ago was, if you have these little people puppets, the children have puppets of themselves, that they can take their puppets and they can use their puppets to work work out the problem. Something about getting it away from you helps you have a little bit more clarity. So I hope you've gotten some good ideas today. It is time to say goodbye to all my friends. It is time to say goodbye to all my friends. It is time to say goodbye. Give a smile and wink your eye. It is time to say goodbye to all my friends. And friends, subscribe on my YouTube channel and you'll get all of these. And every week on Saturday, I do a video with a song and a story that you can share with your children online. So take care. God bless. See you next Thursday.